All right, welcome back. Anyway, I'm up to trying to consolidate this harness back here the best I can. I've wrapped and unwrapped it like 3 times because I saw that the way it was going to run wasn't going to work too well for me, the way I had to be routed. Mainly, I had to consolidate. It was 2 harnesses back here. On the Camaro, you've got one little separate harness that's in the lights up the license plate and has 2 little marker lights that go on the bottom bumper. And the others come in from the top of the car in through the underneath the flooring in the under the hatchback, and then they go through the back, and then they go to the taillights in that fashion. So I don't need that. I just need one continuous harness going across and one entry point on both sides over here. So I had to combine those 2 harnesses and eliminate all the way that it was connected there. But anyway, I've spent quite a bit of time today doing that and ironing it back out. The other thing is I wanted to get as many weather pack connections under here as possible. This one's not a weather pack. This is for the release, the latch. This is meant to go inside the car, so I'll have to protect that some way because it's not a weather pack. Anyway, the other thing is while that side had a nice square opening that I could cut, which will make a nice little panel that I'll just be able to screw in there and keep the water out. On this side, we had quite a complex area that had to be cut out in a strange way, and so I spent quite a bit of time today making this cover plate just for that little area. So that's what I'm getting ready to do, fit that up and see how that all goes. Anyway, that's where I'm at, and we'll just keep on digging here. And the wiring, routing it, and everything is very time consuming. We got to add 15 inches of length to the stuff that's going to be coming from the inside of the car, obviously to the back, because we've lengthened the platform. So that's something that'll have to get addressed. So that's a lot of wires that are going to have to be soldered together. Anyway, that's where I'm at. Just to give you a perspective of where I'm at, because you can't really tell from under here. Anyway, back to work. All right, so this is what those 2 little access doors look like, and, for the taillight wires to go up through the quarter panel. There's that crazy looking one, and here's the one for the other side, which is a nice neat rectangular one on for that side. Anyway, I'm getting ready to put those cover plates on. Okay, this is where we're at. I've got both taillights in now. I've also got these smoked side marker lights over here, which look pretty good. I've got the roll pan up, obviously, because I've been working in this area. Underneath here, I've got the wire looms all organized, and I've got them secured to the frame of the tow hitch, actually. Over here, you can see I've got these factory tabs that hold this stuff together. At any rate, that's what the little access door on this side looks like for putting the loom through the quarter panel on this right-hand side. And then on the left-hand side, we've got that crazy looking door over here that's in place. Let me show you what that looks like over here. Anyway, that's what that looks like right there. You can see the wire right up there going through. I will tape up the edges a little bit. Also, I have this little hook I installed here because I've got a extension here for a trailer light, and you can see it's got a little rubber cap on it, and then there's this little loop that goes over that holds this little rubber cap when you open it up to plug it into the trailer. So I use that to keep this thing up and out of the way when you're not using a trailer. Anyway, I've got to keep on moving with the electrical system here because I've still got some things to sort out as far as what I'm going to do about it. I really don't like the fact that this connector is not a weather pack, so I'm going to have to probably figure out what I'm going to do there. I don't have any weather packs in my shop here, believe it or not, but it seems a shame. All these harnesses have weather packs, but they all plug into something that's not here at any rate, so I can't utilize any of them. So back to work. This is what it's looking like all the way across here. Okay, a lot of little details taken care of back here with this tailgate. Put these springs back on. They fold, make sure that this folds down. They put tension on it. You see they wrap around this little stud that holds the cable, and then they go into the tailgate. But as you close it, it pushes this cable down so it doesn't get caught up against anything over here. I've got the these let me see if I can put this light on. These little rubber plugs are back in on both sides here. Plug up this sides of the tail light sections there, and I put this this cover over here on. That's where the latch goes for the tonneau cover. Anyway, just a lot of little stuff that takes time because I had to clean all this stuff up and paint it all and then put it in. Anyway, that's what she's looking like on the tailgate. All right, the wiring saga continues. So yesterday I spent a good bit of time, let me get some light on the subject here, getting the wiring for the fuel system and everything routed back up through the proper location in the back panel there. Plus, I routed another set of wires up through there to do the brake lights. Got a grommet in there. That's all sealed up. But I must have wrapped and unwrapped this one situation about 15 times, just trying to come up with the best situation. And this is what I ended up with here as far as the connectors. Since they are supposed to go inside the car, I didn't feel comfortable with them with no weather pack back at the back of the car. I mean, it's going to get a lot of rain, water, and stuff like that. So what I did was I hardwired them back there at the back, and then that grommet that's in there will allow these fasteners or these connectors to pass through that grommet hole in the back. So I've got the trunk latch mechanism on this one set of wires here, which all comes down into this common harness, and then the other is for the tail lights over there. So what that's looking like over here, maybe wondering why I'm not doing this on the lift. I had the same thought myself, but I've got too much junk spread around here, all these wires, because I need lots of stuff from all three of these harnesses, and I can't put them away, and they're in the way of everything. So just scoot around on the floor like I've done for all my life, and it won't be that big of a deal. So anyway, this is the fuel system here, and also the rear axle connection, which I'll have to extend the wires on the fuel cell, or the fuel tank I should say, which the wires come from here, and I doubt that they're going to reach here because the fuel tank normally resides right up close over here, and I moved it back because of the situation with the bed, so that it's dropped down. At any rate, so I'll have to lengthen that harness, but this harness here that comes all the way back here and is secured up the top of the frame rail comes back around, and then instead of having a plug back over here, well, I've got one plug, but that's a weather pack. Everything is basically just soldered up, solid, and it's back here now, and it looks pretty good. So hopefully I'm done with this section of it, but I got to get this, like I said, one more harness back here for this gas tank. And in the meantime, I thought I would try to see what I was going to do, where I was going to put the speakers, because in the Camaro, there's these speakers are in the what would be the under the hatch, way back near the back of the car, almost in the trunk area of the car. But because it's a hatchback, obviously you can still hear them. But I was surprised. I cut these out when I was taking apart the car. I haven't looked at them in over a year, and I turned it over, and I was surprised. It looks like it's a tweeter by just the size of it. So I guess that's going to give you high values up, rolling up across the glass and towards the back of your head. Then there's a set, so there's two of those at the back, and then there's supposed to be some bass speakers that are right in here. And then, of course, you've got the ones that are in the doors. Well, the ones in the doors they're double acting speakers. In other words, I've only got one of them because of the fact that, my donor car, the Roller, has seen a little bit of rougher life than the engine. So let me see where that one is. This one here. So I was informed that this combination is basically, there's a high-end speaker, two separate speakers combined into one. So that's something fancy that I haven't been able to. I looked on the internet, seeing if I couldn't find somebody selling a set of these, but it doesn't really matter. They're too deep to go in the doors because unfortunately, with the El Camino doors, there's the window motors right in the way where those go. And there's some shallower ones, but not much. They're 2.5 inches, which is about the same size as this. But I think what I'm just going to do is I'm going to simplify the whole system. Instead of having all of that rigmarole going on, I think I'm just going to get some 6x9s, and I'm going to make a box, and I'm going to put it right here, right on top of the carpet, and set it right there. Put a couple 6x9s in there, and forget about the ones in the doors. This is a very small cabin area, and putting them underneath here is nightmarish. So that they're in the same location that they would be in the Camaro, one here and then one way back there. You're not going to get any value out of that, especially once I cover this with a closure panel for the storage area. So, but anyway, it informs where my wires have got to go. I've got to bring them out here in this area if I'm going to even put some 6x9s in. And those back speakers are just going to be some redundant wiring that'll be up in there in case it's the wrong way to go. And the thing sounds horrible with 6x9s, but I don't think it will. It's a pretty small area. Anyway, that's where I'm at. All right, so got everything pinned up and tucked up underneath there. Took a little doing. It's a little cramped back there. I'm glad I decided not to try and put the speakers in, because I don't know how I would have done a neat job way back in the hole there. I can't get my shoulders in there or save my life, and it's too hard to reach. Anyway, I extended both of my speaker wires, both for the far rear and this side speaker over here, back into this area here, just in case I want to do something different. Maybe I'll hook up the two original speakers right in this space here. I don't know what I'll do just yet, but that gives me both the options to do that. So anyway, was looking around and about these two plugs up here, and this one here seems to match the pin and arrangement and also the shape of it to a button I found online for the traction control, which would go into one of these blanks. In other words, it would be right here or there. This is actually two more spaces that's available for buttons there. And so anyway, in the process of trying to work out where all of this stuff, these cables went, and the location of that spooling device that's indicated to be part of the cruise control, I went ahead and I got a whole setup, because I went over to the engine over there and took a look at the lengths of the cables. Nothing seemed to correspond, so I'm assuming that one of two things: it doesn't fit the 4-speed arrangement, actually, or just it's a situation where it's for it's for a car without that option, without the this motor here, which in my manual it says it's part of the cruise control system, but I guess at the time they're considering traction control part of the cruise control system, because it's not listed as traction control, but that's definitely what it is. It's basically a servo motor that helps control the throttle, I guess, when you get into a little bit of a pinch. Now, while I'm not going to activate it because I've been advised that it's not a very good system. I'm going to still set it all up with the entire setup here, which I bought the entire setup because, like I said, none of the cables were matching up, and where they locked into the different devices didn't match up. So this is for a car with the option that matches the harness that I got in the car, and so I decided just instead of trying to piece it all together, which I was never going to find these cables individually, but this is the setup that I need to have complete with the brackets and everything that mounts it, and everything ties into the engine with the right length. The lengths of all of these are correct based on what I've got going on over there. So anyway, like I said, I'm going to hook it up just so I don't want any bells and whistles going off with this because of something being missing from the harness that the computer might be looking for. Not that I'll use it. You have the option of turning it off, which I have to now get the switch and put that into the console. But anyway, this is mystery being slowly solved. But I think I'm there with the help of a lot of the people in the comment section. So I appreciate it. I'm putting together a puzzle without the box top, which has the picture of the puzzle. Anyway, we'll get there. Here's an example of what I was trying to figure out with this. Now, this came with the roller, which was a 4-speed car, which might not have had traction control on it being a 4-speed car. Now, this clearly hooks directly to the engine, right to the throttle body. Right here it clips in based on, I've got a couple pictures of a 4-speed car that has, under the hood, you can see clearly the two cables. One's here, and this one goes, actually this is the setup for the traction control. This short cable here, because this one winds around to that motor, that servo motor. But anyway, that other piece goes in here, and you could see where it would clip on here. So it's just two cables that you would have for a 4-speed car, I guess, and basically it would run your cruise control would just be a simple throttle control, but it wouldn't have traction control, which is this other cable winding back in and going into that spooling motor, and then coming back out and going into the firewall for the throttle. So that's what's going on there. And also, it didn't make any sense that this throttle cable here does not reach all the way over to the other side of the bay over there, where it would go into that motor, that spooling motor. So this fitting here goes directly to the throttle body. So this goes to the throttle body, and so does this on this setup. There is no intervening cables to go back to a spooling motor on that side, if I'm making myself clear at all. If I'm not, oh well. Anyway, moving on. All right, so I'm on the passenger side now and trying to get all this wires tucked up underneath the dashboard here. Get them clamped to the side over here. And I've got the speaker wires rerouted to go into this pocket with the idea of putting a couple of boxes in, put the speakers into the footwell behind the seat. And this is the last thing I'm going to have to mount in here. And this is the loop that goes to, I believe it's the amplifier. And this is a little bit difficult because I got to figure out a way to mount it up inside there. So I'll be trying to climb over get rid of all this mess, be climbing over these studs and stuff like that on my back, trying to mount it to the top there. It sounds like a fun time, but it's got to be done. And so I kept looking at it to see what the best way would be to attach it in there, and everything I looked at was weird or going to be in the way or make the storage space unusable. So finally, this is the bracket it normally mounts to. I kind of abbreviated it a little bit I'll attach it to this bracket here, and I'll mount this to the bottom side of the bed. And the reason I can do that is because, as you remember, I have two beds in there. One is the original bed, and there's a gap of about 2.5 inches, and then the new bed that I put on top. So I can actually drill through the bottom of the first bed and put some attachment points there for this bracket. And then this will mount to this, which is where it always goes, and plug it in, and that'll be the last thing I have to mount in there. Still have to deal with the gas tank and the wiring on that. That'll probably be next. But for now, doing a little struggling on my back. See how that goes. Okay, so that's what this is looking like. You can see my bracket here, and it's screwed to the bottom of the old bed. It's still in there solid. I got a little aluminum bracket I put under here so that I could just weave this whole wire loom back behind this. And to keep this is only bolted in the top over here in two places, so to keep it from wiggling and vibrating, I added this 3/8 tube brace here to brace this bracket up right there to keep it from wiggling. This is a pretty easy way to make brackets. Just take a 3/8 inch tube, flatten it, bend it over, then swing it up, mark it out. You know, give yourself about 3/4 of an inch. So you got a little flat to drill through. Cut it off, flatten out this end at the appropriate angle. In which case, this surface is this way and this surface is this way. Keep it oriented right, and then these are just self-tappers. This is a self-tapper here. This is actually a bolt, nut and bolt that goes through this bracket right here, but that keeps it sufficiently rigid. It's a good way to stabilize things. Anyway, that's what it's looking like there. Everything's kind of neatened up here, good enough, out of the way of where my seatbelt reel is. I think I'm just going to continue to work up underneath here. I have to, I'll be making some closure panels over here to keep this from getting damaged if I decide to throw stuff back in this cargo area. Well, there just went my light. Let's see if we can just put a little light back on it there. So I might just put the carpet back in this area that was in the original footwells of the Camaro. Now I'm going to have a span from here to here that doesn't have carpet. I'll have to get something for that area before it meets this area here where the cut will actually be for the forward carpet that's going to go in the rest of the cabin. At any rate, that's where I'm at. I know I said I was going to get involved with the gas tank, but I think I'll just, this is a real pain to be up under here, and I want to get done with everything I have to do under here because it's really wearing me out and it's really taking a lot of time. So boring content, but necessary. All right, so I got the carpet back in, bit of a struggle, but everything seems to be a struggle these days. Better look into that. Anyway, I got to make an intermediate piece right here. So I've got another kind of carpet. It's not going to match this, obviously, but this is a cargo area, and you won't even see it because hopefully there'll be a panel in front of it that'll obscure everything. At any rate, I've got some great carpet, and I've got to make two flats and then something to go over the tunnel there. So what I've got in here is I've cut the carpet to the full length, side to side, and then I've cut two panels out of ABS plastic, and I'm getting ready to contact cement them down to the back side of this carpet that I have marked out over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this panel here and that panel over there, put it in this field over here, and I'm going to leave the center just carpet, and then I'll fold everything over so that what I'll have is just two panels that one on either side that I can screw down firmly to the flat part of the floor. And then this will just wrap over top of the tunnel. Anyway, that's what I'm up to. I'll show you how it works out. Okay, so this is the idea. You see I've got the rigid panels here. I've folded over onto the bottom side here. Now this is just going to be flexible. I'll put a backer on that right here. I'm going to put some like a 1/2 inch backer, just a flexible backer. And so that when it's on the opposite, when it's turned over, these two rigid panels will be what hold it down, and these side panels here will be able to flip up because there's a little angle that it has to climb on the sides there, and hopefully it'll look good. It won't look too terrible. Anyway, that's what I'm up to. All right, so that's what it's looking like installed. So it's just screwed down in 4 places on both sides and then wrapped over top. And like I said, I put a flexible foam barrier under here to build up the same height as the carpet is over here. So not the same colors. You can see it's a blue compared to a darker gray, bluish gray anyway. But like I said, it's a cargo area, and it's all carpeted all the way back. I just got to make some side panels now once I see how these other inner panels fit relative to all this junk that I got piled in the back there. We'll see how that all works out. Okay, the gas tank's in. I thought it would be an easy bolt-up project, but naturally there were issues. And they came from your aftermarket parts, as a lot of people know. Nothing ever bolts up directly. If it says it bolts up directly, these straps here, they were drilled out all the way over to here. And this is all the way back as far as it'll go, as far as against here is concerned. That's right bumping up against there, so there's no room for that to move or shift. So I had to re-drill these in order to get that strap to work. Also had to loosen it back up and then shift it over so that I could get the gas door to close, because the cap was just holding it out a bit. So in the meantime, I came up with this bracket here, which this is the normal bracket that's on the filler, and it has a little tapped area for a number 10 bolt to go through it. So I made this out of like 060, but it was still a little flimsy, so I went ahead and I did one of my stabilizer stops here, and I just through bolted it through this webbing here, and that's a nice solid, I think it's 064 wall, 3/8 tubing right there. And then it has a little piece of 1-inch tube that I made it fit on the outside of this, which is also 1-inch tube. So I cut a half shape here, welded it to this piece here, and then this little hose clamp is put on here to hold the whole thing stable. And now it won't move. So I'm pretty happy with all that, how that worked out. So the next thing is, as you can see, the gas tank's normal location would be in this area here. So all my wires don't reach the plugs over here. So I'm waiting for some solder connections, some solder connectors that I just got used to using that are pretty nice. They do the solder is embedded in them, and they also shrink wrap all in one go. I'll still wrap them with more shrink wrap, but they're pretty cool because you just sleeve the wires in and then you heat up the little fitting, and it melts the solder that's already inside. Another thing I'm going to have to figure out is all these fuel lines. I've got to run the fuel lines front to back. Naturally, I'm going to have to add the extra 15 inches that I extended this whole body structure here, or this pan structure, and we'll see how that all works out. Anyway, that's where I'm at. I took a break from the interior of the car because I was going down a rabbit hole. I'm saying, man, I got to get the mechanicals fixed on this car before I go too much further, and see if there's any problems with anything that's obvious. But I started working on the interior a little bit more. I started playing with this, which this is not going to work. It turns out that this is, I cut this down quite a bit, to accommodate the fact that I raised this floor pan up so it was, up where it needed to be, so that my dashboard wasn't too low. And this piece here, once the rug's in and everything, this is just doesn't, I could trim it down, but then I have other issues, like where the seat bolt bolts through, and the screw holes would be cut off, so I'd have to reintroduce all that. And bottom line, it's too short from here to here once the El Camino rear panels are in. So I stopped on that. I said, man, that's not the project I need to be playing with right now. I need to get back on putting some of these pieces that I'm tripping over, like fuel lines and other things up into this car. Anyway, rambling on. I don't know if I can get this to focus or not, but here's those connectors I was talking about that I really like. See, there's solder right in the middle here, and then this is shrink wrap from here over. So once you put your one wire in this way and one wire in the other way, and you got to hold it. I've got a couple little clamps that I use to hold the wires in there so that they stay centered in there. And then you heat this up with a little butane torch. And what I like to do is I like to do the heat shrink on either end first, because that holds the wire from shifting around even more. And then slowly go back and forth until this stuff here just melts into the wire. You can see it just melt into the wire. The trick to these things is to get it as close as you can to the wire size, because if you go with any of these larger sizes over here, for like if you're, this is not ideal, obviously. It's way bigger than the wire. This is never going to shrink down enough to make the connector or make the connection properly. So they've got a whole bunch of different sizes here. I just had to reorder this orange or red size here, which is what I've been using predominantly, and it seems to work really, really well. Anyway, just thought I'd show you those things. I was a little skeptical at first because I tried to use them on Randy's car, and a couple of them came loose, and it was because I just wasn't getting that solder connection completely melted. And like I said, the other problem is sometimes it seems like you're melting through this plastic here. You got to give it enough heat that sometimes the plastic, and I just basically wrap it up anyway. So it's not like that's the only thing that's between you and the outdoors, as they say. Anyway, thought I'd show you that. All right, I know I said I wasn't going to mess with it, but it was bugging me. So I took the El Camino inner panel here that goes in this kick area, and I readjusted where this was mounted. This is the hood release, and it fits much better than the other piece. Although it is quite a bit further forward, because this is where the El Camino door ends up right over here, so this had to be pulled forward. Anyway, still works with the curve, because I designed it to that same curve, just moved it back I should say. And so it's just a little bit shy of this, but this is a different floor pan anyway, so it probably wouldn't have fit no matter what I did. But you can't really see it. It's up there and it's carpeted underneath there. And I have to modify the little footrest over here eventually. Anyway, I just got out from under the dash, replacing the throttle cable. This is the cruise control unit is under here, mounted to the frame rail. And I got it plugged in. I've got all of the cable run here as per what I saw in the manual. One of the few things I have a diagram for in that manual. Clips over here. There's a little spot over here that gets clipped in. There's no corresponding hole here, so I'm thinking it's probably on the K-member. And I was wondering why this stuff just looked like it would just go across the top of the motor here. But then I remembered that the Camaro had a windshield bed that was somewhere around way out here, so all of this would have been tucked up underneath there very neatly. But this is where that spooling motor went, according to the manual. It's part of the cruise control system. According to a commenter, that this is actually traction control, and I have to say that that's probably correct, because it wasn't on this particular car. This 4-speed car, it didn't have this module, so I had to thread the two mounting holes, which had no threads in them, cut. But you can see this is where it fits, and the wire perfectly lines up, pops in. That's where that goes. Anyway, this is the accelerator cable going here all the way into the firewall to replace the shorter one. This one comes back out of the spooling motor and goes over here onto the throttle body. And that's what came with the motor, so that's what I'm going back with. Anyway, just keep hopping back and forth and doing little things here. I'm waiting for a bunch of little knickknacks to come in, and so I can continue with the process. My forward thinking is kind of slipping away over here. Anyway, back to work. Okay, I've got this radiator assembly put together now. As with all these aftermarket bolt right up situations. It's always a little bit of DIY that's got to go along with it. You know, there's no fasteners. You've got misaligned clips, things like that have to be messed with, but it's okay. It seems to be working out fine. Everything seems to be on there decent, and so everything here is new, and I've got a larger capacity radiator here because I understand these cars, were some of the first that they ran hot for emissions. So I'm going to try and cool this down if I can, as best I can. Anyway, I'll be popping this back in the car and seeing how all that goes. All right, so that's the whole radiator assembly bolted in, and got the wire looms plugged in to the fans. I've got the radiator upper core support in. Hopefully all of this is in to stay. Never can tell what I'm going to run into, but that's where we're at right now. So I like that. Fewer and fewer mystery plugs are presenting themselves, which is a big gain. In and out of doing this stuff here, and trying to figure out what the wire loom wants back here for the gas tank. I've just been tinkering with a little bit of parts here and there for the interior, so this is where I'm at with that. I decided to ditch the idea of using the Camaro stuff for this surround here. It just wasn't going to work, so I modified the El Camino threshold, which came out flat on this side over here for the El Camino floor because the frame rail was up about this high in that car, and just bent the whole thing over and down so it captures the rug. That seemed to work out fine. I had to do a little modification over here because, like I said, this whole panel here is shoved forward a little bit, and the El Camino would be way back here, so it was a little short. I had to cut this piece and then cut a little relief cut there, but everything over here is just stock the way it lines up. Just trying to eliminate the parts bags that are sitting around on the shelves. The less parts I have in a bag, the less I have to try and search for things when it comes time to put things back on the car, so it's going a little smoother as the shelves are getting cleared off. At any rate, I think this is where I'm going to stop it this week, and I appreciate everybody for following along. I know it's a long build, but I appreciate everybody that's hanging in there for it. I got a long way to go still, and I appreciate it. Thank you, and I will see you on the next one.